welcome to Picture This. Today we're not reviewing a Best Picture winner. Instead, we are predicting what we think all the Oscar nominations will be tomorrow morning. I'm Jack. Y'all know me. Matthew, Coho. You might not know them. They haven't been here in a while, but they're here now. So, yeah, let's...
I was here for Lawrence of Arabia.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that work has started scheduling me on Sundays for a while. So I'm like, oh well, shit. Guess I gotta miss the '60s. What a decade to miss. Gotta miss the 4-hour Lawrence of Arabia episode. Oh shucky darns me.
Count yourself lucky, my friend. Count yourself.
Apparently, I liked the movie more than all of you. I thought it was good.
Yeah,
I thought the movie was good. The rest of you are like, no, top 10 worst. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's not bad. I was like, did I watch a different movie? The movie was shot better than anything we've watched since like Gone with the Wind. I'm like, this is the best looking movie we've seen in so long, and you're like, nah, worse than Gentleman's Agreement.
Film, but good lord, do I dislike the central performance? Anyway,
which is weird because he's so good. Peter O'Toole probably should he didn't deserve to win, but he's so good. That's probably the best Peter O'Toole performance I've ever seen. He's like fantastic.
I'm sorry, Anton Ego would like to have a word with you.
Anton Ego's not even his second best performance. You've just seen like 3 performances from Peter O'Toole.
That's correct. And between those 3, Anton Ego is the best one, and Supergirl's the worst, and Lawrence of Arabia is smack dab.
Good God, what a! Can you tell he plays fandom and doesn't watch movies?
Yeah, well, I play Melee too now, so there's that.
There you go.
Personally, I prefer his performance in How to Steal a Million. But that's just
he's really good in Venus. Also, just shouting out his last Oscar nomination was a good performance in Venus.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess we can get
Oscars. Well,
yeah. So how are you doing overall with your predictions here, Matthew and Coho?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was telling you guys before we went live, this is like the one thing every year that I love is the Oscars. It's the thing I put everything into predicting and following because I love it. And I've been very successful in recent years on my predictions. The people in all the different group chats with me will tell you it's annoying how much I'm like, hey, this will happen. And I say it 3 more times and then it happens. And people are like, shut the fuck up. And so this year is the first year in a long time where I have really no idea what's about to happen, which is weird because the last 2 years have been very unwieldy, unpredictable years, and yet come out with predictable results for the most part.
Except for like Judi Dench showing up.
Except for like Judi Dench, like obviously there's always the surprises, but like for the most part, the last 2 years have been somewhat predictable as to what's going to be there. And then like this year, I genuinely, I think we are going to have like 7 or 8 different upsets across the board in different categories. It's going to be weird.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. I'm not feeling confident in my predictions at all, but we'll see how that goes.
We'll see. I always enjoy predicting the nominations more than I enjoy predicting winners.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, me too. I feel like that's more exciting.
Once you have the set number, you kind of can figure out what's going to win, and there's rarely an upset. Like last year, I think we all had the 4 acting winners down as soon as the nominations came out. We were like, these are the winners.
Yeah.
I think the only one people were like iffy on was the actress, and I was still I was Jessica Chastain through and through. I was like, she's gonna win, you fuckers.
Mm-hmm.
I was holding out hope for Kristen Stewart upset because at that point it would have been an upset win, which is
what a weird. Real quick, just to throw back to that moment. How weird was it that we had like that race is locked? It's Kristen Stewart like back in September, and by the time the nominations came out, we were like, oh shit, she got nominated. Good for her. It's like what a weird drop where it was like at the beginning of the year, we thought she was going to win.
Well, same kind of situation this year with Michelle Williams, but that's because at this point, she'll be lucky to get nominated. I personally would nominate her, but at this point,
we'll get there.
We'll get there because here's the thing: Gold Derby is even jumping on that trend of putting her eligible in both.
They have her in both.
So we'll have to see what happens. Maybe she isn't supporting like she should be tomorrow morning, but we'll find out.
Maybe. All right, then I guess we can get started with the short categories. Live action short, I guess. What do y'all have?
I mean, when it comes to live action, when it comes to the shorts in general on Gold Derby, you usually just pick the top 5 because the people who actually take the time to sort the odds on the shorts are usually the people who have watched all the shorts and like have followed through and like know what's happening. The only thing I know is that Alfonso Cuarón has a short film in the running this year. I don't know which one it is, but apparently he has one this year, so maybe he'll get in. But the 5 that I've got from 5 to 1 are just Nakam, The Red Suitcase, Warsha, An Irish Goodbye, and Le Pupille. I think those are. I'm just gonna go with those. I have no idea what any of those are. I'm rooting for An Irish Goodbye just because it's called An Irish Goodbye. So
Yeah. I also have those same 5, but Warsha is my 4 and The Red Suitcase is my 3.
Yeah, I don't think the order matters too much because, like, with shorts, we really don't know them super well.
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, what do you have, Matthew? Anything else, or just those 5?
I just sometimes, it's because I know nothing about the category. I'll switch the 5 for like the Lone Wolf, which is what I have. Because sometimes you just switch things up. Just do.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, I guess we can just go to documentary short then. We've got our live action short basically done then. What do y'all have for documentary short?
For me, I got Holding Moses, How Do You Measure a Year, 38 at the Garden, The Elephant Whisperers, and The Flag Makers.
Fair. I have those same 5.
I have Noose and Spare instead of Holding Moses. I think that's what you said.
That's fair. I know nothing about these. I literally just picked the name Holding Moses because when it comes to shorts, you pick the things that sound interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I would watch something called Holding Moses, I think. So
fair enough. I would too. Cool. I guess we can just move along to the last short category here, and that's best animated short. What do y'all?
So this is the one that I probably know the most about this year, because Save Ralph has like 1,000 famous people in it, and My Year of Dicks is made by the writer of Moana and Ralph Breaks the Internet. So I'm definitely putting those 2 in. I think the one I'm going to take out is The Flying Sailor, and I'm going to put in just purely because the name is ridiculous. And Ostrich told me the world is fake, and I think I believe it. I think with a name like that, you deserve an Oscar. So I'm putting that in, and I'm also going to put in New Moon and The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse.
Fair enough. I have 4 of those. My alternate is An Ostrich Told Me the World is Fake, and I think I believe it. Just for the name alone.
If I'm wrong and it is The Flying Sailor, I'm just gonna put in An Ostrich Told Me the World is Fake, and I think I believe it. My Year of Dicks is about a 15-year-old girl who literally loses her virginity, and like it's about her like dating troubles and stuff like that is what it's about. It's like a puberty story. Okay. No, it's not the second worst one, but good for you. Try again. Might be the second best one. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll pass over international. I'm just going based on like bottom to top on Gold Derby here. We'll pass over international for now, and we'll just go to documentary feature. Sure. Get the last documentary one out of the way. What do you have, Matthew?
So I know with the Oscars, they're always really weird about documentaries.
They always shut out the famous popular one that you've
heard. I don't think Descendant or Moon Age Daydream are getting in. I have All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, All That Breathes, Fire of Love, Navalny, and The Territory.
I think that Moon Age Daydream's the most famous documentary here by far. I know that All the Beauty and the Bloodshed has basically been called the winner since the race started.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna call Moon Age Daydream out. I am gonna keep Descendant in because I think that one is what that one's about is too gripping to not have, and it's Netflix, and Netflix is really good about getting their documentaries in. So I'm going All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, All That Breathes, Fire of Love, Navalny, and Descendant.
Yeah, I'm switching out Moon Age Daydream for Descendant right now. I had Moon Age Daydream in there, but you're right, they do tend to shut out the most famous one.
I also just want to take the second to just say Justice for Senior, which wasn't even shortlisted, which is like it's a great documentary this year that was made about Robert Downey Sr. With Robert Downey Jr. in it, and it's a terrific movie about movies and a father-son relationship. It's on Netflix. It's like not even an hour and a half. It's like super easy to watch.
Fair enough. I just want to point out, Holzman, you are not correct here. Breaking Dawn Part 1 is the worst of the Twilight movies, and then Breaking Dawn Part 2 is the best of the Twilight movies. So
This is not correct. It's the Eclipse is the best one, but continue.
well, whatever. They're
all awful. All 5 movies are awful. Continue.
Yeah, they're all bad. Anyway, we
They're
can
all
continue. Do y'all want to save international and animated feature for a little?
No. Let's knock these out now, because I think these are. I think we can all agree these are actually pretty like
it's
well
pretty
wrapped
clear.
up.
I think.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll go first for best international feature. I've got The Quiet Girl, Close, Decision to Leave, Argentina 1985, and All Quiet on the Western Front as the ones I'm predicting nominations for. Though I can see EO possibly pulling a small upset there, I guess. But
I'm rolling Quiet Girl. I'm rolling Ireland Gang. We deserve our films to be seen at the Oscars. Let those Celtics in. But yeah, I think those are the 5. I haven't seen 2 of these 5. I'm hopefully seeing Argentina 1965 later tonight. If I can get access to someone's Amazon Prime account.
Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Yeah, I got to get an Amazon Prime account and I'll watch Argentina 1965 tonight.
I didn't realize.
Just R.I.P. Bardo. Like, what a early season. This was like a Best Picture contender because of Iñárritu's return, and now it's like not even going to make international feature. And I'm like 3/4 of the way through it. I've been watching it over the last couple days, and like, man, what a movie. There's aspects of it that are actually quite good that you'd be like, yeah, this probably would have been considered if it wasn't about what it's about. So, bummer for Iñárritu.
I think The Quiet Girl has surged in pretty recently.
Definitely. I think and there's always going to be one, like all the precursors have RRR, which is not eligible at the Oscars. Mm-hmm. And India's film is not going to get in because they're not, they just won't. No one's talked about the one they've actually submitted. Which
I don't even know what
it's called Last Film Show, I believe.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I think Holy Spider, Saint Omer, Corsage, all films that were mentioned at the BAFTAs, not going to get in. I think that The Quiet Girl, is probably your best bet for the 5th. It's that or EO, unless some Iñárritu fans are like, no, Bardo, and then Bardo just does get in. But I'm gonna roll Ireland Gang, and then support the other 4 that are clearly getting in. I think.
Fair enough. Yeah, and do you have any different ones, Matthew, or same 5?
I have the same 5.
Cool. I guess we'll move on to animated feature. Matthew, what 5 do you have for animated feature?
Okay, so I have Del Toro's Pinocchio, Puss in Boots, Last Wish, Turning Red, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, and Wendell and Wild.
Yeah.
I have 4 of those. I am stuck right now between Wendell and Wild and My Father's Dragon.
Which is fair.
I currently have My Father's Dragon because the studio has literally never missed a nomination.
Right. And additionally, Henry Selick has also never missed a nomination. So you're kind of between 2 forces. I think that having seen Wendell and Wild, the movie is fine. It has a very odd animation style that is distinct enough that people are going to remember it when they write out their ballots. I also am going to ride with that one because not only does Henry Selick get the nomination, if it gets in, Jordan Peele gets another nomination as well. And I think people are also going to be in a position where Nope's not getting a nomination this year. He made a movie that people really liked, and it's a Keegan-Michael Key, Jordan Peele reunion. I think a lot of people will ride with Wendell and Wild that way. Plus, it's a really cool concept. Not to shit on Cartoon Saloons or anything. It's just I think Cartoon Saloon is probably due for a miss. And
My Father's
Henry Selick's got a big story.
It's a fine movie. It doesn't feel like it's gonna get the Oscar though, having seen it.
Right, and Henry Selick coming out of retirement to make this movie after a decade plus of not making a movie. His last one was Coraline, which he got nominated for. I think there's a real shot that he does get nominated with the Key and Peele team behind him. I think the rest are make sense. I think Pinocchio's obviously going to walk away with this one. Del Toro's getting another Oscar. I think Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is a big win for DreamWorks, who haven't had a real movie in this category in a long time, since How to Train Your Dragon 3. I think it's the last time they had a movie in this category that mattered. And even then, it didn't really have a shot to win either because it was the Toy Story 4 just wave.
It was between Toy Story 4 and Klaus that year.
Yeah. And I just think that's the nomination is a huge win for them. Turning Red getting in is not the movie that I think Pixar thought they'd get nominated for this year, but they'll take it, which is huge win for Domi Shi.
Yeah.
previous Oscar winner for Bao. So good for her.
Cool.
And then Marcel the Shell, she was on getting in, is just a win in and of itself for Dean Fleischer Camp. Just that movie, like willing its way to an Oscar nomination through sheer force of positivity. Good for Marcel.
Yeah.
If it gets in, good for Marcel.
Yeah.
So
Good for Marcel.
what's interesting, right below Wendell and Wild and My Father's Dragon is Apollo 10.5. Do you think that has
R.I.P. Linklater. I'm pretty sure they like. I don't even know why it's on there. I thought the Oscars like straight up said it's not eligible or something like that.
Initially, it wasn't eligible, but then it was reconsidered a little later.
Okay, I missed that part. I know Linklater was like, "Why do you hate me?" Because this is his third animated movie, and the first two rotoscope movies he made, they were like, "No, not eligible." And he was like, and he makes this one. It's probably the most traditional animation-looking rotoscope thing he makes, and they're like, "Still no." And he's like, "What do I got to do here?" I watched it today. I like Apollo 10.5 quite a bit, actually. I think it's definitely worthy of being considered for this award. I would personally nominate it over like Wendell and Wild and Marcel the Shell. But I think that it's not in this one. I don't think that's in this, and I don't even know why they have Strange World with odds above 100-1 because that movie does not exist. Disney themselves do not believe this movie that they put out in November exists. There's no world where Strange. No one saw Strange World. The Academy doesn't want to see Strange World. The movie's awful. No one's going to put Strange World on their ballot. It's not happening.
Awful is a strong word, but it's
Also, when we made these ballots like earlier in the year, who would have thought that Puss in Boots was the one that would have got in for DreamWorks?
Yeah.
I think all of us had the bad guys penciled in as the DreamWorks Return movie because the animation on that is gorgeous. But man, good for Puss in Boots. That's the better movie for sure.
Yeah.
I still have to see both those movies, but I've seen clips of Boots as I like check in on theaters while it's playing, while I'm at work, and it looks like so much fun. I'm
Puss
so
in Boots is great. And my last point to make about animated feature, just as a in memoriam, like for people, the fact that Apple TV Plus put all that movie into Luck, and then Luck came out and it was terrible. They put all that money into getting John Lasseter on their team to try and save their animation department, and just nothing. What a wet fart of a movie in terms of Oscar campaigns. Poor Lotso hugging Lasseter on that attempted comeback. Bummer for you, dude.
Oof. Okay. With that, I guess we'll move on to the next category on here, which is best visual effects. Coho, take it away.
This is gonna be a real good race. This is one where I think I'm confident in my 5. I think I'm pretty confident what I got. I'm rolling with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever because there's always a comic book, there's always an MCU, and this is the MCU with far and away the best visual effects this year. I know they shortlisted Doctor Strange also. I think they are running with Black Panther. I think that's the movie that's their Oscar contender in multiple categories. I think they'll put the visual effects in. I got All Quiet on the Western Front. I'm rolling with the 1917 aesthetic of this movie. This war movie is a technical achievement in and of itself, and it is the international feature of the year. It's going to win the Oscar, and it's also just like the movie that I think will get tons of technicals because of how proficiently well made it is. It's based on a previous Best Picture winner. Like I just see All Quiet on the Western Front getting in because that was one when I saw it on the short list. I was like, what visual effects? Which is always a good sign. So I think that's getting in. Speaking of what visual effects, I think the Batman's getting nominated. I think the Batman is probably the most overlooked movie for the Academy Awards this year because it came out in March and it's a comic book movie, which is unfortunate because the Batman rips. And I will be very happy to see the Batman get a visual effects nomination, even though I'm like, what visual effects? The explosions? Is that what we're talking about? Is the explosions and the flooding, maybe? Top Gun Maverick. Again, I didn't realize there were visual effects. I thought that was all practical flying stunts. Another huge win for them. I think Maverick getting into visual effects is like a lock. And I think the winner of all winners, as soon as it was announced to come out this year and dated and everything, I think everyone said, yes, Avatar: The Way of Water is winning visual effects. As soon as we saw a trailer, as soon as the movie came out, it's their way of awarding the second biggest movie of the year with something. I think Avatar: The Way of Water is not just getting nominated, it's winning the Oscar in a month or two. But Avatar: The Way of Water rounds out my 5.
That's fair. I have the exact same 5 as you. A little different order, but I do have the same 5.
I do not have Black Panther on there. Instead I have 13 Lives because that's another one where it's just like the visual effects are there and you probably couldn't tell, Like
true.
some of the underwater, some of the cave scenes I've heard like are just
My as the I don't have you either of you
I
seen
haven't seen
13
it.
Lives? Okay,
No.
13 Lives is one of my 10 least favorite movies of the year.
Oh.
Because it's just the most boring slog of a movie that I already watched last year when I watched the Rescue documentary. It's shorter and better told. The visual effects in 13 Lives are quite good. If they do get in, I would understand. I just think like they already have 3 movies essentially that are supporting visual effects that you wouldn't notice in like the Batman, Top Gun Maverick, and All Quiet on the Western Front. I don't think they'll go for a fourth in 13 Lives. Also because 13 Lives is an Apple TV Plus release that like no one saw. I don't think anyone knew 13 Lives existed, despite it being Ron Howard, Colin Farrell, and Viggo Mortensen. But like I think Black Panther being like the third highest grossing movie of the year in the MCU's only shot at a visual effects nomination is the reason why I'll roll with the comic book movie.
That's fair. That's very fair. Yeah, I think that basically wraps up visual effects, so we can move on to sound. What do you have nominated for best sound, Matthew? Like, what are your predictions here?
Okay, so I have Top Gun Maverick, Avatar: The Way of Water, Elvis, All Quiet on the Western Front, and The Batman.
Fair.
Interesting.
I have 4 of those. Instead of the Batman, I have Babylon in there.
I also have Babylon.
Okay.
So my reasoning here, I don't think I need to explain why Top Gun, Avatar, or Elvis are here. I think when it comes to sound and editing go hand in hand as categories, and I think at least 2 of those are getting editing nominations, but more on that later. And I think that big sci-fi movies obviously get in. All Quiet on the Western Front being a war movie obviously will get in. I think it basically comes down to what sound you're going to go with, and like the Batman makes a lot of sense. If the Batman gets in, I'll be happy because I do think the Batman deserves to be in. But I also believe in the power of trends. And when it comes to Damien Chazelle, his last 3 films have all been nominated in the sound category every time. Whiplash, La La Land, First Man all got through sound, even if they weren't huge Oscar contenders. Whiplash and La La Land obviously being picture, but First Man literally came and went in the technical categories, and one of them being sound makes sense. It's a space movie. But I think Babylon and that sound team are going to repeat because that movie is loud. Babylon is a loud movie with a lot happening. I can totally see it getting in. And I believe in the power of Chazelle's team. They get their 3 for 3. I expect them to go 4 for 4. But I understand the Batman being a big action movie and not having any comic book representation is weird if the Batman or Black Panther don't get in. So I'm gonna go Babylon, but I understand the Batman.
Okay.
I have the Batman as my alternate, but I do have Babylon in that.
It is honestly probably smarter to predict the Batman at this point. I'm taking the risky move on Babylon.
Yeah.
Babylon at all in this race right now is actually like super risky in a lot of categories, which is not something I thought I would be saying in September when I thought this was actually a shot at winning picture. So
yeah. All right then. Our next category is best original song. I'll kick it off.
This has a
yeah. I'm torn on the 5th spot. I'm torn on the 5th spot because I'll go top down for this. I have Natu Natu from RRR, Hold My Hand from Top Gun Maverick, Ciao Papa from Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Lift Me Up from Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and currently in the 5 spot, I'm underestimating the power of Diane Warren, and I'm putting Carolina in there from Where the Crawdads Sing, but Tell It Like a Woman, applause that it's Diane Warren. You can't count out the Diane Warren song, right? So that's my alternate, but I could honestly switch it before the morning. So right now I'm predicting Where the Crawdads Sing.
Yeah. I'm currently going with Tell It Like a Woman's song Applause because I got bit last year by the underestimating of Diane Warren. What is she on? She's on, I think, the longest continuous active streak right now, where she's been nominated the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years in a row for movies that don't exist. Like, she got in for Marshall. She got in for the RBG documentary. She got in for Breakthrough. She got in for The Life Ahead. And then she got in last year with the most This Movie Doesn't Exist movie of all movies, 4 Good Days. She breathes, makes a song, puts it in a movie that no one has heard of or seen, and they put it in because her name is Diane Warren, and they're desperate to give her an Oscar. They're so desperate, they're giving her an honorary Oscar this year, which means she's going to win an Oscar in the next 3 or 4 years competitively. So it's like, I think she gets in also because I think there are two powerful trends that work in her favor. She has been nominated every year for the last 5 consecutive years. Taylor Swift has yet to get a nomination despite being nominated at Precursors 4 times now. Literally written a different song for a different movie and been nominated at the Globes, Critics' Choice, all the multiple times. She misses for Cats. She misses for the Hunger Games. She misses for that freaking whatever song she did, One Chance, back in 2013. Taylor Swift just does not get nominated for an Oscar. And if they were going to give her a nomination, this is probably her best shot at one. This is probably the best song she's written for a movie yet. I would love to see Carolina get nominated so they can just give Taylor Swift her nomination and move on. But I think part of me thinks that them saying it's eligible for short film and then not putting her short film on the short list is further proof that they don't give a shit about Taylor Swift at the Oscars. So I'm going to roll Diane Warren and applause. And if Taylor Swift pleasantly surprises me by upsetting a movie that I am confident does not exist, I'm confident Tell It Like a Woman is not a movie that exists. I've looked into it. There's a trailer. The trailer is there's 7 short films in one packaged theatrical film with Cara Delevingne in it. This movie does not fucking exist. And Diane Warren is going to get nominated for the 6th year in a row for a movie that does not exist. I believe in the power of Diane Warren, and I believe in the power of hating Taylor Swift. So we're going into that.
Wonderful. Matthew, any differences?
Yeah, no, I'm also not counting out Diane Warren. I think that's the one that gets the 5th spot. Yeah,
that's totally fair. I'm making the risky play here by predicting.
True. Huge shout outs to what will most assuredly be one of the best concerts at the Oscars ever. When you look at the lineup, because you got Gaga, you got the Naatu Naatu guys, you got Rihanna, which if Black Panther won would give Ryan Coogler an Oscar because he wrote the song with her and Ludwig. And then Del Toro wrote the song with Desplat. So all the songs nominees this year that aren't Naatu Naatu are heavy hitter famous American filmmakers and people. And then you got these small guys from India who are just going to walk away with this Oscar, which is really cool. Good for Naatu Naatu.
Yeah. All right, then. Best original score. Coho, kick us off.
This is I think, one of 2 categories where I'm willing to drop a super bet on my Gold Derby, where I think these 5 are the 5. I am pretty confident that come tomorrow morning, they're going to say Carter Burwell's name for the Banshees of Inisherin. He was nominated previously for 3 Billboards. I think he and McDonough are a dream team to get him Oscar nominations. I'm putting in Burwell. I think you're going to see Justin Hurwitz, who is going to win Oscar number 2 for Babylon, because that is the score of the year for me. I think this is the most bombastic, insane thing he has ever made, and he's going to get an Oscar statue for it because it's the opposite of La La Land, and it works just as well. You're going to see Hurwitz come in here, get his 2nd nomination for Babylon. Then I'm going to project John Williams with what is most likely his final Oscar nomination for The Fabelmans. I know he unretired, but I don't really. So maybe there's a shot he gets nominated again, but for the near future, this is probably his last nomination. For now, the 90-year-old goat of goats, just patting the longest record in the history of the Oscars. He's going for the Disney record of most nominations for an individual. He's going for it. I think this gives him either 59 or 60 if he gets nominated tomorrow, which is ridiculous. So good for Johnny. And then I'm going with never count him out. His name's Alexander Desplat. He sneezes and he gets a nomination for Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. It's Del Toro and Wes. When he works with those 2, his name's on the Oscar ballot. I think he's getting in. And I watched it. What is the score in this? It's something like rubbing your hand across an acoustic guitar. Hildur Guðnadóttir getting in, or Guðnadóttir, whatever the Gesundheit for Women Talking. Hildur's getting another nomination for Women Talking. I know they disqualified Tar, which is the most sneaky score of the year, and they threw it out. So they'll make it up to her and give her that nomination. And that would also be wild because I believe in this race then, that is 4 previous winners and Carter Burwell. It'll be 4 previous winners and Carter Burwell, and Burwell's not winning. So what a lineup. I'm dropping the super bet. I think those are the 5.
Fair enough. The only thing, I've got Fabelman's, Babylon, Banshees of Inisherin, Women Talking, and I also have the score for All Quiet on the Western Front. So I think that could be a surprise fifth spot. It wouldn't surprise me if tomorrow, like Cam said, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think that's probably likely.
It's the text.
I think right now I'm gonna guess. If by the end of this, and you keep track, I already know what my most nominated is by keeping track of what my projections are. I think the Fablemans will have 9 nominations coming out of tomorrow and will be the most. But I think you're gonna see a a high nomination war where you're gonna have like 5 movies in the 7, 8, 9 nomination range, and it's gonna be like All Quiet. It's gonna be like Babylon. It's gonna be like All Quiet on the Western Front, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Banshees of Inisherin, Fablemans running up the score.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
Yeah, for me, I could see them take out Woman Talking for All Quiet. I think this plot gets in, but if they were to sub something out, I would switch Woman Talking with All Quiet on the Western Front.
I just don't see anything having enough momentum at this point to catch up to those 5 because they've been the 5 all year at every award show. I think the only score with enough gusto, because there's also no name behind All Quiet on the Western Front, really. I think if someone's getting nominated that will upset Hilder, it'd be Ludwig Göransson with a repeat for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
That's fair.
It's very hard to get nominated for a sequel, which is also the thing working against like the guy who did Avatar too, and it's also working against Nathan Johnson with Glass Onion. Like when you do a score, it's hard to. I guess it doesn't really hurt Nathan Johnson because like he didn't get nominated the first time. So
yeah, that's fair. Cool. I think that brings us to production design now. What do y'all have? Matthew, start us off.
Okay, I have Babylon, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Fablemans, or Elvis should be above that, and then The Fablemans, and then All Quiet on the Western Front.
Fair. Coho?
Yeah, I have Babylon, which I think is going to win it. I got right now probably my guess. I have the most infuriating nomination of the entire thing that is guaranteed to happen tomorrow, which is Best Production Design for Avatar: The Way of Water. We love the giant green screen water tank studio they built for them to film underwater. Excellent. Give them a nomination for that, I guess. Elvis is going to get in. I think Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Hannah Beachler getting a repeat nomination again. And I'm going with The Fablemans. And I think those are going to be the 5. I can see All Quiet getting in. I can also see Glass Onion sneaking in. But I'm gonna roll the dice on Black Panther getting a repeat.
Fair enough. I wouldn't be shocked if Glass Onion snuck in there, but yes, Bar, water is water. I wouldn't be surprised if Glass Onion snuck in there, but I feel like these 5 are pretty safe. Avatar, Elvis, All Quiet, The Fablemans, Babylon. So, yeah, I think that.
I think just being a war film, All Quiet on the Western Front has a pretty good chance.
It doesn't have a bad shot at all. No. But I'm gonna roll with my 5 just because like I don't know. Watching it visually, yes, it's the difference with 1917 and All Quiet for me is that 1917 has more clearly built sets, like those ruins and stuff are more clearly designed elements, and the trenches like consistently. I think there's because I keep bringing up 1917. I think that's the most recent comparison you have for All Quiet to go off of, and I think it's got less production design than 1917. So I'm gonna go for the flashier options. If something gets bounced, I think the Fablemans would get bounced. I think the Fablemans would be the thing that gets knocked out for All Quiet. Because I think the Fablemans has the least flashy production design of the bunch, just the most technically well-made period piece design.
Fair. All right. Best makeup and hairstyling. Matthew, what do you got?
Okay, so I have The Whale, Elvis, The Batman, All Quiet on the Western Front, and I just went for Amsterdam as my 5th spot.
Fair.
Interesting call.
Fair. Coho?
This is my other one that I put a super bet down on, and maybe that's me being stubborn because I really don't want Blonde to get nominated. I just don't want Blonde to be in here, and I think Blonde's the only one that of these that it could upset one of my picks, really, but I'm putting the super bet down with just how much hatred I have for that movie. So I'm rolling The Whale, Elvis, and The Batman. We're going with Fat Suit Cinema, the trio, all of them with unrecognizable fat suit makeup. I'm going to put in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. We're going to avenge the miss from 2018 and recognize that incredible makeup and hair design of Wakanda and all the characters there. And for the for Namor and the Atlanteans. They're not Atlanteans in the movie, but, in the comics, they're fucking Atlanteans. And I'm going Babylon. I think Babylon is the last one I'm throwing in. I think there's too much incredible makeup design with people like Tobey Maguire. And we underestimate in the category called Best Makeup and Hairstyling. We always underestimate the hairstyling. Babylon has incredible hair. I'm throwing Babylon in there for the period setting. I'm going Babylon. I'm putting the super bet down. I know All Quiet on the Western Front has all the blood and dirt in the world. I'm rolling Babylon over it.
That's fair. That's fair. I will say Black Panther Wakanda Forever is my alternate for this category. These are the 5 I have from bottom up. Blonde, Babylon, The Batman, Elvis, and The Whale.
Okay, so I'm the one with 2 different ones, All Quiet and Amsterdam.
I just don't. Here's my thing with Amsterdam. This is the only category where Amsterdam has a remote chance of somewhat showing up, and that's completely for Bale. It's completely for Bale.
It's not prosthetic and
I just don't. But I don't see Amsterdam getting a lone makeup nomination. I don't see there being a lone makeup nomination this year. I think everything that gets in is part of a campaign where they're designing the makeup as one of the focal points. Like the Whale's campaign is centered around the makeup and Brendan. Elvis is centered around the makeup and Austin. The Batman is centered around the makeup almost exclusively. Like that's their campaign at this point is look how much we did to make Colin Farrell not look like Colin Farrell. I think Babylon just has a extensive campaign where the makeup is a piece of it. And if the performances get in, then the makeup highlights it. And I think Black Panther Wakanda Forever speaks for itself. They put the makeup on there because it's Black Panther. Look at this element. And when they just put it, look at all the different elements of Black Panther, that's the one that I think is going to rise to the top naturally. Amsterdam, they have 2 things on 2 short lists being makeup and song, and I think it's not got a shot in either. I just don't think it's flashy enough.
The song is my least favorite of the songs on the short list. I don't get it.
I also just want to say, obviously, Crimes of the Future and Emancipation have no shot in hell, and thank you for playing. But Blonde is the one that I'm just like, fuck off if it gets in. I'll be so mad because it's gotten a couple little precursor sneak in shouts at different places, and I'll be so mad because all they did was they just put a wig on Ana de Armas. Mm-hmm. And that's all they drew a mole on her cheek.
That's why I don't think it's getting in. I
don't think they did enough they didn't do enough to make Ana de Armas look like Marilyn Monroe. Ana de Armas's performance is the thing to highlight, not the makeup. So I that's why I'm pushing Babylon, which just has all the makeup.
Mm-hmm. But I think All Quiet
people do be pissing and shitting in that movie. So
All Quiet has a better chance though.
All Quiet has a better shot than Blonde for sure.
That's fair.
But again, all the dirt and blood in the world is not going to convince me to put it in over Babylon at this point.
Okay.
This is valid. All right, film editing. Coho, kick us off.
God, this is such a difficult one for me. I'm going to roll with these 5, and I'm going to hope I'm right. I think the winner of the category has been locked up since Memorial Day weekend, and it's Top Gun Maverick. I think that gets nominated. I think Eddie Hamilton's getting the nom. I think that is going to win sound and editing, and those are the 2 big ones that Maverick has on lock coming in. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is the one that I think a lot of people are probably going to predict on their ballots and not think about Top Gun Maverick's just universal crowd appeal, and especially in the technical categories. But I will definitely be predicting Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think Elvis, which is editing that could kill a small child, is going to get in. They always pick the film with the most editing, and Everything Everywhere and Elvis definitely qualify for most editing in a movie on both fronts. I'm going to go All Quiet on the Western Front. Speaking of fronts, I think when it comes to sound and editing, you're going to see overlap, and that's going to be one that sneaks in. And Michael Kahn is nominated for every Elvis or every Spielberg movie that they do, basically. Every time Spielberg makes a movie that is a real picture contender, Michael Kahn finds himself in the editing category, and he deserves it, so they'll put the Fabelmans in. And that's what I'm going with for the 5.
Fair enough.
I just want to say tears shed for the loss of Tom Cross in Babylon. R.I.P. Tom Cross, maybe our best working film editor, deserves to be recognized for Babylon, but R.I.P.
Yeah, Babylon is my alternate. I have All Quiet on the Western Front, Top Gun Maverick, Elvis, The Fablemans, and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
And then I have Top Gun Maverick, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Elvis, The Fablemans, and instead I have the Banshees of Inisherin because I think it's hard to it's the front runner for Best Picture, so I have a hard time thinking it's not going to get an editing nomination.
I mean, I don't think it is. Like, we can get that when we get to picture. I really don't think Banshee's gonna win Best Picture. I don't think that's gonna happen at all.
I think it's one of the front runners, though.
I think it's one of the front runners to get a nomination for sure. I just don't think it's gonna win. And when it doesn't get an editing nomination tomorrow, that will be very clear to people that it's not winning picture. I think Maverick, Everything, Elvis, and Fablemans are the 4 movies that have a real shot at winning picture, and they'll get in. And All Quiet will be nominated for its technical aspects, and that's really it. But I think those will be the 5, and then everyone will realize those are probably the 5 movies with the best shot at picture, and the movies that we have been talking about for most of the season are not the ones that'll actually win when it doesn't get an editing. But yes, Babylon needs more nominations, one of them being film editing. It deserves it. Tom Cross is a god among men, and he should have more than just the one for Whiplash. He should have one for La La Land and so many more. He should probably even have been nominated for last year for No Time to Die. But
Fair. Yeah. I've got wait, I already did that. I guess we'll move on to costume design because I'm an idiot and I forgot I already given my 5. Yeah, costume design. My alternate is Everything Everywhere All at Once. But the 5 I have are Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, Elvis, Babylon, The Woman King, and Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
I just took my super bet off of makeup and put it on costume after looking at it again and realizing how locked I think these 5 are. I think like there's gonna be some weird shakeup in makeup that'll fuck me on the super bet, so I'm gonna put it on costume. I think Woman King is a movie that deserves way more love than what it's gonna get, but costumes I think is one where it'll rise to the top and sneak in. Ruth E. Carter's absolutely gonna win her second Oscar for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, most likely because goddamn these costumes that she made on the second time around are even better than the first. Which is insane to say when you're a legend like her. Babylon, we love Mary Zofries. I hope she gets nominated. I'm putting her in. I'm putting Catherine Martin in for Elvis, and I'm rolling with Jenny Beavan, who works on so much stuff, getting in for Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. And the costumes on that movie are gorgeous. Gorgeous Dior costumes. Yeah. So I'm absolutely putting that one in. I think those are the 5. I would say Everything Everywhere All at Once is probably my alternate as well, barring any weird Corsage or Glass Onion upset, which Glass Onion is like severely snubbed. Right. Justice for Jenny Egan. It should be in this race. It's my personal winner for the year. R.I.P. Glass Onion. We need justice for Benoit Blanc swimsuit.
This is correct. And Matthew.
Yeah, I don't have anything different. I would love to see Everything Everywhere get in for those Joe Tupaki costumes, or just the whole movie, the costumes in the entire movie. I would love to see, but yes. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think the 5 is pretty set.
That's fair. Well then, with that, let's move on to cinematography. And I don't have the Batman in here. It is my alternate. The 5 I have predicted are Babylon, All Quiet, Avatar: The Way of Water, Top Gun Maverick, and The Fablemans. Matthew, what do you got?
Okay, well, so top down, I have Top Gun Maverick, All Quiet on the Western Front, Empire of Light, The Batman, and The Fablemans.
All right. Coho?
This category is so unwieldy. I'm going with Claudio Miranda for Top Gun Maverick. I'm going with Janusz Kaminski for The Fablemans. I'm going to put those 2 in here. I'm going to say those legends get in. I'm going to say the Avatar: The Way of Water gets in because they're going to do it. I'm going to put in All Quiet on the Western Front, and I'm going to follow the ASC because they created entirely new lighting techniques. They created entirely new technology that is being implemented on all sorts of films, and he won last year. I'm putting in Greg Fraser for The Batman. I think The Batman also is a franchise with a history of just getting into best cinematography any chance it gets. Batman Forever, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, Joker. It gets into best cinematography pretty consistently. I think The Batman will find itself in the category again, rounding itself out at probably 3 or 4 Oscar nominations total, even though it deserves way more than that. I'll say it gets 3 or 4, capped off by a huge best cinematography nomination for Greg Fraser.
Fair
So
enough.
you guys aren't predicting Empire Flight.
No.
I'm not, because I don't think a lone cinematography nomination on the back of Deakins is enough for a movie that I just don't think anyone saw. I know he's Deakins,
Yeah,
but
because
like
he's Deakins.
he's Deakins, but like I don't see anyone throwing a random nom to that. Like if Reznor and Ross don't even make the short list for score, I don't see Deakins getting in on cinematography. That just shows me no one saw Empire Flight.
And I could also see, for me, I think I could see the Fablemans in that making it and swapping in Elvis.
I am not going to put in Elvis under any circumstances on cinematography. I just don't buy it. Though it would be really cool to see. I think she'd be the 4th woman to be nominated for best cinematography. Would be really cool. I don't remember her name off the top of my head. The person that I most just RIP for is Linus Sandgren with Babylon. Once again, Babylon should be in this category. Linus Sandgren, an incredible cinematographer who has literally only been nominated the one time for the win for La La Land. Should have been nominated last year for No Time to Die. Man deserves a nomination this year for Babylon. He needs more nominations, and the movie Babylon does in general need more. So
It does.
Fair enough. All right. With that, we are now in the above the line categories. Coho, what do you have for best original screenplay?
I think we have 4 movies that are absolutely guaranteed to be here. We're putting in the Daniels on Everything Everywhere All at Once. We got McDonough coming back with Banshees. We got Kushner and Spielberg in with Fablemans, and you got Todd Field in for Tar. I think the final spot is between Triangle of Sadness and After Sun, and I'm going with Charlotte Wells for After Sun. That's the kind of movie that absolutely gets a random lone screenplay nomination, recognizing its first-time efforts as a director. It's a movie that has a lot of passion behind it. I think in a year where there's not really a clear 5th, there's a lot of people that are going to push behind After Sun at the right time to put it in as the 5th spot. It's that nice, sweet story that would totally kind of get in with a lot of good drama, a good central relationship between a father and daughter. I think that'll absolutely be in. Though I could totally see Ruben Östlund's Triangle of Sadness being the low nomination for that movie as well. I'm going to go with the one that's hot right now and not hot a year ago.
Fair. I have the same 5 nominees. Once again, between Triangle of Sadness, which is my alternate, and After Sun, I have After Sun. I feel like Charlotte Wells gets in for her debut feature. So, yeah, I've got nothing more to add to that. Matthew, what do you got?
This one I have Triangle of Sadness instead of After Sun, which is I think the BAFTA 5 that for original screenplay.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I just think that Triangle of Sadness is going to get more love than you guys are expecting.
That's fair, and we'll see once we get to a different category if any of us predict that nomination. Best adapted screenplay. Matthew, what do you got?
Okay, so this one I have The Whale, Woman Talking, which I think. Do I have this as my winner? I think I have, yeah. So The Whale, The Woman Talking, Glass Onion, All Quiet on the Western Front, and Living.
Yeah, I have All Quiet on the Western Front, Living, Women Talking, The Whale, and Glass Onion. So I think those are the same exact 5. What do you have, Coho?
I'm taking big swings in this category, boys. Let me tell you. I'm taking Glass Onion to win the category. I think Rian Johnson's going to be a winner. I think Women Talking's falling at the wrong time. I think Glass Onion's been hot since November. No one stopped talking about it. A lot of people say it's even better than the first. It's a weak category. Rian Johnson's making a TV show right now, so he's out in front of the press. Rian Johnson's probably going to win for Glass Onion, but it's too early to say. But I'm putting Glass Onion in. I'm putting in Sarah Polley, Women Talking. I think people have just sort of assumed she's winning that Oscar. I'm putting in The Whale. I'm putting it back in. Do I think The Whale screenplay is atrocious? No. Do I think it's a mess? Yes. I don't think it deserves to be in this category. I'll put it in. I think Living's getting in. That's a movie that is just designed to get an acting Oscar and a screenplay. The last spot, I am not going to sit here and put All Quiet on the Western Front in. I don't believe in war movies and screenplay. I think 1917 is a weird fluke being an original. I don't believe in war movies getting into screenplay. It doesn't really happen. She Said is not happening. I've determined She Said is not an Oscar is a this had Oscar buzz movie episode, because with Carey Mulligan out and that screenplay race really dead, I think it's gone. The movie that we're not talking about that I think is getting into Best Adapted Screenplay is a Best Picture nominee featuring an all-star cast of writers, including Peter Craig, Christopher McQuarrie, and Aaron Kruger. I am predicting Top Gun Maverick in Best Adapted Screenplay. I think that this film is a crowd pleaser. I think the script is very unique for a blockbuster. I think you got Christopher McQuarrie, who has not been nominated since he won for his debut feature in The Usual Suspects, but has been working like a motherfucker for the last several years. He wrote his best script in his career this year when he wrote Top Gun Maverick. It's better than The Usual Suspects. You got Aaron Kruger writing the best script of his career, period. End of sentence. Aaron Kruger, writer of the Transformers movies, gonna get nominated for an Oscar, I'm telling you. Peter Craig, it's his second best script of the year because he wrote the Batman this year. But Peter Craig helped on Maverick, he gets in. I think there's so much to like about this package for a nomination. I think this movie needs more above the line nominations if it's gonna win picture, and I think it has a real shot to do so. I'm putting Best Adapted Screenplay Top Gun Maverick in, and I'm calling it. Put Top Gun Maverick in Best Adapted Screenplay. It's a weak category. Maverick gonna show up tomorrow morning.
I could not disagree more on a number of things you said just now, but the one thing I'll push back on is I do believe that war films can get nominated for screenplay awards.
I just said I don't think they will.
Fair.
1917 got one. The reason why I'm
but I said I think that's a weird.
1917 is the reason I'm putting All Quiet in. My alternate is She Said. I do not think we live in a world where Top Gun Maverick gets an adapted screenplay nomination. I don't think it's happening. I think the notion that it's McQuarrie's best screenplay is laughable. I'm sorry, I don't understand how it's his best when he wrote The Usual Suspects and Mission Impossible 5 and 6, which are both better screenplays than Top Gun Maverick.
The Mission Impossible movies don't really have screenplays. They just have stunt coordinators. They're good movies, like great movies, but what script? What script do these movies really have? They're the same script copy-pasted from each one. He's disowned 5 times. He's dishonorably disowned by like 5 times now. He's rogue in all of these. So McQuarrie didn't write shit in 5 and 6. He just copy-pasted the same script twice. So let's put the Mission Impossible scripts better than Top Gun Maverick.
Okay, fine. Even with the Mission Impossible scripts behind Top Gun Maverick, which I'll accept, you cannot tell me The Usual Suspects is a lesser screenplay to Top Gun Maverick. That's just
it is because it is because all the characters are really not well written. It's like a definition of a really mediocre debut feature, and I can't believe he won an Oscar for it. It's like a film twist that is not a film twist. I'm sorry. The verbal Kint twist is like not a good twist. I'll be honest with you. Usual Suspects is fine. It's a fine film. Top Gun Maverick, better movie, better screenplay.
Right. So for me, I would take out Living for She Said. That's what I was talking about, not All Quiet. I think All Quiet has a better chance than Living.
See, I think Living is totally in. I think that one's in. I think Living is full on in. Just the story of it being an adaptation of Akira was a narrative that they're not letting go of. They're running that one through. I think that's getting in. I think if anything's missing, it's All Quiet on the Western Front. If we're going to go action movie for action movie, I think Top Gun Maverick is more well-liked. I think Top Gun Maverick has a better script. I think Top Gun Maverick has a more unique individual script. I think it has more flashy names attached to it that would be more appealing to get a nomination than the people who wrote All Quiet on the Western Front, which doesn't really do too much different story-wise than the original. So.
That's true. Top Gun Maverick doesn't do too much different story-wise than
except it does. It's not even the same story, Jack. They're entirely different stories.
I was kidding. You
didn't watch Top Gun Maverick at all, did you? One's written by Jim Cash. One's not.
Great. It was great. It's like my 14th year. It's fantastic. Anyway, we'll continue on here. This is where I am full of doubt, and it's Best Supporting Actor.
It's the fifth spot. It's the fifth spot.
It's the fifth spot that is filling me with doubt, because does it go to Eddie Redmayne or does it go to Judd Hirsch like so many people are predicting, which I don't totally understand why they're predicting it, because he's gotten no precursor love and Eddie Redmayne has gotten all of the precursor love. But I am going with Judd Hirsch in the 5th spot. I think it's happening. Dano, Keoghan, Gleason, and Kwan are all in there. I think they're locks at this point. I think Judd Hirsch gets the surprise 5th spot because there's always the one nominee in the category where people are just like, what the fuck happened? Jesse Plemons snuck in last year.
Jesse Plemons didn't. Hold on, Jesse Plemons didn't sneak in.
I literally.
DK Simmons snuck in last year.
Okay. Sorry, sorry. Jesse Plemons was the only one I could think of where I was just like, huh, that's.
I predicted Jesse Plemons.
Simmons got like every precursor. Simmons was the one where it's like, oh, he was at Critics' Choice, and that's it. Like that was weird.
I don't remember Plemons.
He got over-nominated.
He got a Globe, a Critics, a BAFTA.
I don't remember that at all. I don't remember that at all. That's my bad. Simmons snuck in last year. Lakeith Stanfield the year before. Like I think this is I can't remember if there were any surprise nominations in 2019.
2019 is the only year where it was straight up normal.
Or 2018, but for me, I'm going with the what the fuck nomination with Judd Hirsch. I think he deserves the nom, but.
If Bradley Cooper didn't get in, it's not going to
Yeah, that's my issue. I think Bradley Cooper, Licorice Pizza was like the one scene wonder performance last year, and he was precursor nominated at like at SAG and all sorts of places, and he didn't get it. Judd Hirsch has no shot in hell. He's not getting a nomination. I think you're right. There's always a weird upset pick. And the weird upset pick, I think, is Brian Tyree Henry in Causeway. I think he's going to get a nomination. He's incredible in the movie. He deserves it. Apple TV Plus has put a lot into that performance campaign. I think that movie will see Henry get a surprise nomination. The issue is I can't decide who is getting bumped between Barry Keoghan and Paul Dano. I think one of those two is too safe. I think one of those two is too snug in there, and I think Barry Keoghan is missing. I think Barry Keoghan on Banshees is the one that people like. I think he's a little too safe in there. I think Dano had too big of a year for them to overlook. I think Eddie Redmayne is like not the 5. I think he might even be like the 2 at this point. I think he's getting nominated. Gleason and Kwan are in. Doesn't really matter because Kwan's going to win the Oscar. But I'm going to take Barry Keoghan out of this race and put in Brian Tyree Henry on Causeway. I think Brian Tyree Henry had a great year, and Causeway is a crowning achievement performance to give him some love. After 4 or 5 years of really stellar work, I think he's going to get in there as the surprise, and Keoghan's going to miss.
Fair. For me, go ahead. Sorry.
For me, I think that nobody has seen Causeway, and that the Oscars love Brad Pitt. They love Brad Pitt, and I think that he has a better chance. The problem is they also love Eddie Redmayne. So now I'm not sure exactly.
Well, I think Redmayne's in. I think if you're taking someone out, it's either Dano or Keoghan. Because I think there's going to be a weird upset on that call, and Pitt's a good call to put in. I think Pitt's going through a bit of controversy at the moment, so I don't know if they're willing to fork over a Pitt nomination right now.
And it seems like everyone has been.
He's in court right now for like spousal abuse and stuff, so I don't think he's getting a nomination.
Like based on like the other award ceremonies, a lot of people have just been ignoring that, so I don't know.
Sure, I know, but Brian Tyree Henry is a Critics' Choice nominee off this performance. Brian Tyree Henry has gotten a lot of buzz off Causeway. And I think if we're going to put in stuff like Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris in random nominations, which no one else, I don't think a lot of people also saw, I'm willing to bet on Brian Tyree Henry's just name alone as people being like, yeah, you know what? You had a good year. Let's put him in. He was in a movie called Causeway. It's an Apple movie. Put it in.
So the only reason I'm not convinced about Eddie Redmayne is this performance feels a lot like the previous 2 years in a row when Jared Leto had Oscar buzz performances. He was getting nominated precursors, and he missed the nomination both years.
See, the difference on that one, though, is that you can compare it to The Little Things. Sure, it's more accurate to that. Leto and House of Gucci was like projected before the race started as being a nominee. So that's just someone losing steam and falling out. And also because he's Jared Leto and the performance sucks. I think The Little Things is actually a better Leto performance that was like a surprise Golden Globe show up, and he was never really in it because it was only a Globe. Redmayne was literally willed into this race when the movie came out. Like people were like, Eddie Redmayne should be getting an Oscar nomination for the Good Nurse, and the Twitter buzz was so strong that people went and watched it on Netflix. and Netflix put it in the hands of Academy screeners, and he's gotten nominated at the BAFTAs, at the Critics' Choice, and at the Golden Globes. That's the difference. Leto was only nominated at a handful of precursors. For Gucci, I think maybe 2 of them. I think it was maybe Critics' Choice and Golden Globe, but also the Razzies, which we all know Jack is a card-carrying member of the Razzie voting membership.
Yeah, you asked how much it was to be one of those. So
I was just curious. I was just curious how much money you're throwing in the toilet. And whereas Leto at the Golden Globes for the little things was a one-off, it was never going to happen. So I think Eddie Redmayne is a surefire thing to happen at this point, just because he was not even looked at and then willed into this race. So I think that's the definition of someone just pushing into it. Whereas I think between Pitt and Henry, I'm going to go Henry. I think because otherwise it's a really bland-looking group of people besides Quan. So I'm going to go Brian Tyree Henry.
This is fair. All right, then. Supporting actress.
What a really stressful race.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
This is the one that is causing me the most stress, and I'm not confident in my 5.
I have been changing one person in and out.
Same. I would really love to wake up in a world where Michelle Williams shows up in this category tomorrow morning, where she's nominated, and this weird 2 week before the nominations award campaign pivot back into supporting pays off. But I just don't see that happening because she's been campaigning in lead all year, and now that she knows she's losing it, I don't think she can pivot back in time with enough room to beat out people who've been campaigning, supporting all year. So I'm going with the front runner right now, Angela Bassett, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I think she's absolutely it. The first person to be nominated for their performance in an MCU film is going to be Angela Bassett. Who the fuck would have thought? Queen Ramonda would be the first one to get a nomination, let alone maybe even win it. Who knows? Carrie Condon, the Banshees of Inisherin. We stand a queen. I think for some godforsaken reason we're gonna see Jamie Lee Curtis on the nominations tomorrow for Everything Everywhere All at Once, the most undeserved nomination of any category this year.
What about Avatar and production design?
I said for a performance, but sure, yeah. You know,
you said any category. You said any.
Sure. You know, fair enough. I meant performances, but yes, Avatar: The Way of Water's production design is worse than Jamie Lee Curtis in supporting. I'm going to reluctantly put in Hong Chow for The Whale, because I think if The Whale's going to get into picture, it needs some more supporting categories outside of makeup and actor. So I'm going to put in Hong Chow, who is very good in The Whale. I'm going to put in Stephanie Sue for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I think those are going to be the 5. And I am fingers and toes crossed that Janelle Monáe shows up for Glass Onion. I believe she is one of the most deserving people in this race. She should be here over Jamie Lee Curtis. And if Jamie Lee Curtis isn't here and Janelle Monáe is with the other 4, it will be a great nomination morning. I'll be very happy to be wrong if I am wrong.
Yes. I would love for Janelle Monáe to be nominated. She would be my winner if she was nominated. She's incredible in Glass Onion. However, I have Angela Bassett, Carrie Condon, Jamie Lee Curtis, Hong Chow, and I am stuck on the 5th spot. I want to go Stephanie Sue for Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I am not convinced it's happening. And for some reason, Dolly De Leon has just been in the back of my head as the 5th spot of she's getting nominated here, and I don't know why. I'm going with my gut here because my gut is telling me go with Dolly De Leon. So I don't know. It could change by tomorrow morning, but as of right now, that is my predicted 5. Matthew?
And I am going to predict this is the Oscars, and they are not going to nominate Curtis. Then they're going to nominate De Leon and Sue instead.
I just don't buy Triangle of Sadness being anywhere other than screenplay.
And then you have Chow, Condon, and Bassett?
Yeah, those are the top 3 for me.
Fair enough. I don't think they snubbed Jamie Lee Curtis, though I wouldn't be upset if they did, because she's probably my 4th or 5th best or 4th or 5th favorite performance in the film. She's very good, but not Oscar nomination good, in my opinion. But that's just.
But a surprise nomination for Nina Haas would be incredible.
That would be something.
I really don't see that one happening. But
The surprise nomination, that would be something. It would make it interesting, that's for sure. All right. Best actor.
Okay.
We've got 4 locks here. Who's your guys' 5th spot?
So I just want to say, can we remember back when this was all starting, when we were like, hey, who's going to win back in like March? And we were all like, Hugh Jackman for The Sun could probably win an Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. Florian Zeller. That Goodwill died after one movie. So Fraser, Farrell, Butler, Nighy. We got the 4. They're locked in. They're locked and loaded.
Yeah.
I think this 5th spot is between 2 human beings, and it's going to be based on what we believe is more likely to happen. Are we more likely to see 5 first-time Oscar nominees in one Best Actor category with Paul Mescal getting in for Aftersun? I really don't believe that. So I'm going to bet on Tom Cruise for Top Gun Maverick getting into Best Actor. Because I think if we're going to break down the only other person who has a real shot, it's Tom Cruise, who is doing the best version of the Tom Cruise as an action star he's ever done on film. It is the best performance of Tom Cruise being the action star version of Tom Cruise. He is doing it perfectly. He's very fun. He's very entertaining. It's the Charlton Heston Ben-Hur nomination where he's just, this is us giving you the nomination for doing what you do best. I think Tom Cruise gets in as the only veteran of the category because otherwise all of our other acting categories are like first-time nominees. Besides, I think Redmayne and Bassett break up the supportings as being like, okay, we have first-time nominees. I think actor needs to have that happen as well. So I'm going to take Tom Cruise over Paul Mescal, also just because I think when it comes down to which movie was seen more, it is undeniable that people saw Tom Cruise in Top Gun Maverick many, 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 many times more than they saw Paul Mescal in Aftersun.
This is fair. This is fair. I also have the same 5 as you. I think Cruise is getting in. The Paul Mescal is right there, and I think he has a very good chance to upset. But I think it's Cruise's game at this point for the 5th spot.
And
I think it's safer to bet on Mescal. But
I'm predicting Paul Mescal for Aftersun.
I think it's a safer bet at this point, but I'm going Cruise just because I don't buy that we're gonna go full opposite direction. Where last year was the first time ever where we had 5 people who had all like previously been nominated for Best Actor in the same category. I don't think we're then going to go in the opposite direction where we have 5 first-time nominees in Best Actor. I just don't think we're going to swing full opposite direction the following year.
This is fair.
Brendan Fraser, good for you for winning an Oscar. I like you as a human being, but God, you don't deserve it.
That is okay. Best actor.
I haven't seen it.
You should be winning.
Best actress.
God, I'm gonna have like.
Now, tell me this. Tell me this.
There's a clear 4 again.
You have the winner, the absolute guaranteed winner of this category, Andrea Riseborough in To Leslie.
What is To Leslie? I don't know what this is.
This movie doesn't exist.
What is this movie?
One of the greatest performances of all time.
According to so many, there are 2 reasons. There is only 2 scenarios here as to why I could imagine anyone having her in the conversation. Either famous people saw it and said, yeah, it's actually that good, or the one I actually believe. Riseborough has an incredible amount of dirt on all of these celebrities that are coming out and praising her performance and using it to blackmail them. I have not heard of this movie until like 4 days ago.
Sure.
What is going on here? But no, the 5 I've got projected, it would be something to wake up tomorrow to Andrea Riseborough upset, but I don't think it's happening. I've got Blanchett, Yeoh, Deadwyler, Davis, and De Armas. I think those are the 5. I think De Armas is getting in for Blonde.
That's exactly what I have.
Robbie is my alternate.
So I am going to wholly echo Caleb Bowman's sentiments when I say last year Lady Gaga was the only one to be nominated every precursor and then not show up on Oscar day. I think Ana de Armas is not showing up on Oscar morning tomorrow. I think it's a precursor in a movie that is reviled for a performance that is fine. She is okay. She is not worth the boot of anyone to lick for a nomination. I love Ana de Armas. She's not worth being in this category. I think we're going to see Blanchett, Yo, Deadweiler, Davis, and Michelle Williams tomorrow in this category. We're going to see the 5. Though I would kill for a world where Margot Robbie gets in for Babylon because she's my winner. I think she's better than everyone who will be nominated tomorrow morning in this category. She's the performance of the year for actresses for me. I think she's incredible. She should be nominated. And the fact that she's not is sickening. She is just kinetic energy embodied on screen. But I think Michelle Williams and The Fabelmans is just too much of a name and a mainstay in this category and in this race to not show up on nomination morning tomorrow. I don't care how much Ana de Armas surged late for playing Monroe. I think Michelle Williams is Michelle Williams, and she will show up for The Fabelmans because this movie is still the best picture frontrunner to me. So
I want Michelle Williams to show up so badly in either actress or supporting actress. I'd prefer supporting actress, but look, I don't think she gets in for either simply because people are split on whether they're voting her lead.
Well, the thing is, there's a rule in place where it doesn't matter if you put her in supporting or lead. That the votes count either way because you can't be double nominated. So
this is the Barry Fitzgerald rule.
Yes, the Barry Fitzgerald rule. You can't show up in both categories. So they'll just tally all your votes towards whichever one she has more votes in. That's all the votes will then transfer to being her in that category. So if enough people vote her in both categories, it's just an overwhelming amount of support that will put her into the one she got the most nominations in. So I think Williams will show up tomorrow morning. I'm going to bet that it's in lead. But I think Williams will be on the screen tomorrow morning. And if she is not, what an upset. What an upset the Oscars just let happen.
An amazing surprise would be if Mia Goth got in, but that's
if Mia Goth comes out of nowhere with a steel chair to get a nomination, I'll just slow clap.
Look.
Good on Ty West just buying her an Oscar.
I was about to ask a question before we move on to director. What is one performance that has been not at all in the conversation that you wish would get a nomination? For me, it's Mia Goth in Pearl because she is the performance of the year for me. I love her in Pearl. I think that is
for whatever reason, Cha-Cha Real Smooth campaigned Dakota Johnson in lead. I think she should be in supporting because she's my best supporting actress winner of the year. She's my performance that I can't believe. Cha-Cha Real Smooth in general is a movie that I just wish was in the Oscar race. Apple spent so much money on it and then did nothing with that campaign. I'm livid. They should have Coda campaigned the shit out of it as their Oscar movie of the year, and it would have gotten so much. It deserves to win original screenplay. It deserves to win supporting actress for Dakota Johnson. I wish she was here. She is maybe my favorite performance period of the year in Dakota Johnson. I don't know. I love that performance. She should be nominated. Holy full stop. Dakota Johnson representing Cha-Cha Real Smooth. That's my performance that I wish was in this race.
That is entirely valid. Matthew?
Mia Goth. I think that's why I brought it up, and then you said the same thing. So
yeah,
you had a question right after I brought it.
That's totally fair. All right, then let's move on to the second to last category here. What are your predictions for Best Director, Matthew?
Okay, so I have Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Steven Spielberg, The Fabelmans, Martin McDonagh, The Banshees of Inisherin, Todd Field for Tar, and Edward Berger for All Quiet on the Western Front.
Coho?
Yeah, I've got those 5 too. I think it's kind of a consistent trend in the Best Actor race in the last couple of years to have an international director represented. Honestly, I think ever since 2018, I guess technically 2017 with Guillermo, but it wasn't for an international film. Like Alfonso won, Bong Joon-ho won, and then you had Thomas Vinterberg and Ryosuke Hamaguchi in. So I think you're going to see Edward Berger get in to keep that trend alive with All Quiet on the Western Front. I think that's the one I'm going to bet on. I do think that we live in a world where one of two people could show up. I think you could see James Cameron upset to get an Avatar nomination. Yeah. And I think we could live in a world where Joseph Kosinski shows up for Top Gun Maverick. And I would love to see a world where Kosinski does get that upset. He got the DGA for a reason. I think that he directs that movie phenomenally. He's a great director that deserves some love for Maverick, which is one of the best movies of the year, period, full stop. So I would love nothing more than to wake up tomorrow morning and have Best Director. They call out Joseph Kosinski for Top Gun Maverick, which only supports my claim that Top Gun Maverick could win Best Picture But I'm going to predict Edward Berger for All Quiet on the Western Front to be the sort of capper on that being the most nominated movie tomorrow. Also,
Fair.
weird that they put Daniels on top of the stats. Spielberg's winning this. Like, Spielberg has to be winning this. If Spielberg doesn't get director Oscar number 3 for this movie, what world do we live in? He is far and away the best director of the year on a movie. I don't know what world we live in if Spielberg doesn't win best director for the fucking Fabelmans. They should be giving him his 3rd Oscar to crown him as an all-time great, elevate him above the giant pack of 2-time winners, put him in that echelon with Weiler, Ford, and Capra. Let him join those 3 as an all-time great, because Spielberg is arguably the director of all time. So fucking give him his 3rd. I'll be so mad. I turned into Mike Hanley for a minute, but give him his Oscar, folks.
I could see a world where Spielberg misses it like Villeneuve, and then he's just not there. But
If Spielberg misses best director total, I will lose my shit.
I will
lose it. I will lose my shit.
What's that moment from it's like your favorite TV show, The West Wing. What's that moment from The West Wing?
I will kill people, Leo. I will kill people with this cricket bat, and I will kill them with my own hand. I think it is whole on gonna happen. If Spielberg is the snub tomorrow, we are living in topsy-turvy land, folks. We're living in a fucking Matrix fictional reality if Spielberg misses best director tomorrow.
Yeah, I have the exact same 5 as you, but my alternate is James Cameron. I think there's a world where he gets in, but I don't see it happening. But still, it would be foolish to count him out, I think. So I have Berger, Daniels, McDonough, Field, and Spielberg.
Cameron's my 6, but I think the 5 is
my alternate's going to be Kosinski. I'm going to take the gamble and say if Berger's not in, it's Joseph Kosinski.
This is fair. All right. Best Picture. I'm not totally sold. I am not totally sold on my 10.
So I think we can all agree as a group. We're agreeing on Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes.
We're agreeing on The Fabelmans.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We're agreeing on The Banshees of Inisherin.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to agree on Top Gun Maverick.
Yes.
Yes.
We're going to agree on Tar.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We're going to agree on Elvis.
Yep.
Yes.
We're going to agree on Avatar: The Way of Water.
Yes.
Yes.
I think we can also agree that All Quiet on the Western Front is showing up tomorrow morning.
Yep.
Yes.
From here, it's what's your 9 and your 10. I am going to go with The Whale getting in as the 9. I'm gonna swallow my pride and put the fucking Whale on the picture list, even though it doesn't deserve to sniff it, because I'm gonna say Fraser, Chow, and screenplay and makeup give you enough to put you into the picture if you like it enough. It gives Aronofsky another nomination, and I'm going to. It shatters my heart, but if I'm taking Monet out to put in Chow, I'm taking Glass Onion off the picture list, and it will destroy me to do so because Glass Onion deserves to be on this list more than most of the movies on here. It's one of the best movies of the year. It's one of my 5 favorites. It should be here. And I'm going to be so heartbroken to take it off and say it's a lone screenplay nominee. But I'm going to slot in its place Babylon. I'm going to put Babylon back on the list. I think the bevy of technicals there are enough to support it. I think it's a divisive film, but the people who love it, adore it. And now that Netflix has All Quiet on the Western Front in there, I think people will let go of the Glass Onion campaign because Netflix is represented with an international film. So I think Babylon will get in. It's Mark Platt producing. The man finds a way to get nominated for an Oscar any chance he gets. So you'll see Mark Platt on there. It's Olivia Hamilton's first Oscar nomination if she gets on, and that's Chazelle's wife, who plays the director in Babylon herself. So she'll get an Oscar nomination, which I think will be really nice. I think also I'll break down my reasoning for a win in a second, but I'll let you guys talk about what you're putting in for 9 and 10.
All right. Yeah. My 9 is The Whale. I think it's basically in at this point. I am torn on 10 between Glass Onion and Babylon. Because here's the thing. And it's a stat that you brought up a few days ago, Coho.
It's a compelling stat, I'll tell you.
It is a compelling stat, and it is the reason it is still my 10. And it's the fact that since the category, I don't know if the Critics' Choice started in 2001, but since the category of best...
They started in 1990 something. So
yeah, since the category of best ensemble started in 2001, which is as far back as I could find winners. the winner of Best Ensemble has not missed Best Picture except for one time, and that was Hairspray in 2007, I think.
Yep.
Other than that, the winner for Best Ensemble has not missed. So I feel like Glass Onion has a better chance than people that are giving it credit for. Though I do see the argument of Netflix is already represented with their international film with All Quiet, but I'm putting my eggs into Glass Onion's basket here. I feel like it is the 10. Could change by tomorrow morning, but I feel like at this point,
I would be so happy if Glass Onion got it.
Same.
I think that Babylon has a better chance than the Glass Onion. Also, The Whale is my 9th. I
Okay,
think
so we all have 9 in common. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think, as you guys have already heard from my previous predictions, I think Triangle of Sadness is getting in for screenplay as well as Dolly De Leon, and so I am predicting it for my 10th slot.
This is fair. This is
So
very
we all
fair.
can just sort of agree Women Talking is just dead. Like it's just not it.
Yeah,
It is dead
What a-
in the water.
What a campaign that ran, where it Cyranoed itself at the very end. Unbelievable.
Yep.
Unbelievable. I'm gonna go ahead now and take the floor to make a plea to the Academy who is not watching. I'm gonna do some math for you all using these nominees that we are projecting happening. The Whale is not winning Best Picture. I think we can all agree The Whale's not winning. Babylon, Triangle of Sadness, whatever we put in, not winning. I think if we go up the list, Avatar, The Way of Water. If Avatar 1 didn't win, the second one's definitely not fucking winning. We're going to go All Quiet on the Western Front. An international film has only won once in 90 years with Parasite. This ain't no Parasite. All Quiet on the Western Front is not winning, and we're not going to have 2 films with the same title winning picture. It's just never been done. It's not going to happen. Tar, a movie that is very much designed by a director and a performance, and people like it enough. I just don't see that one being the one that we're going to be like, yeah, that movie about a fictional composer is going to walk away with the best prize in movies. Just don't see that happening. I don't see the Banshees of Inisherin winning. I think that is a dark comedy. McDonagh going back to a more funny feel. That's a pretty funny movie. Movies that are outwardly comedic like that don't win. It's not going to happen. Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't think it's going to win picture. I think that is a movie that is too fucking weird to win Best Picture. That's a movie that is also very divisive with age groups. I don't think old people are going to vote for that movie. They're going to vote for The Fabelmans, and all the young people might throw all their support into it, but that's not going to happen. I also think The Fabelmans might not be winning because I think none of the young people are going to vote for it because they're voting for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and all the old people are voting for The Fabelmans, all the really old people. This puts us in a position where there are 2 movies left standing. It is either the 2.5-hour long cocaine fest that is Elvis, which is not fucking happening. I think we can all agree Elvis is not happening, which leaves one movie standing above the rest, and that is the most watched movie of the year, the highest grossing movie of the year, the movie that came out on Memorial Day weekend and didn't go to streaming until a couple weeks ago, where its streaming premiere was treated like it was the Super Bowl. It is the movie that, if it wins, checks off a career Oscar win for Jerry Bruckheimer, one of the greatest producers in the history of Hollywood. It checks off an Oscar win for Tom Cruise, who has not yet won an Oscar. It checks off an Oscar win for Chris McQuarrie, who gets his producing Oscar win and gets recognized as a filmmaker. It is also just out and out, maybe the best movie of the year, and that is Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick is left standing. I think there's a real world where if it gets director, it gets screenplay, it gets actor, and it has all those technicals, Top Gun Maverick, a real shot to win Best Picture. And that's my FYC as the unofficial campaign manager for Top Gun Maverick, the best movie of 2022. And I plead because I would love nothing more than to be sitting in the Boatman residence on Oscar evening with Redshaw and Boatman watching the Oscars. And they call Best Picture, and the words Top Gun Maverick comes out of Jack Nicholson or whoever's voice that reads off the win. And I just hear the pained screams of Caleb Boatman screaming the word no, knowing that his brother is going to be like, hey, the Oscars got it right for the first time ever when Top Gun Maverick wins. And he never, ever gets to live it down. I need it. I need it in my life. I need it more than oxygen or water. I need Top Gun Maverick winning Best Picture more than I need Jacariah Pinchuk not touching a tit to be a bit. I need it, folks.
Fuck you.
Top Gun Maverick. Give it your money.
So, look, I have Top Gun Maverick as my 2. Because I think the preferential ballot really helps that movie.
So helps that movie.
However, there is another movie I think the preferential ballot really helps, and that's The Fabelmans.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I think it's between those two. I don't think Everything Everywhere is going to win because of the preferential ballot. I don't think Elvis or Banshees or Tar are winning. That leaves those 2 movies left standing. I think it's between them, and I'm going with The Fabelmans because Steven Spielberg.
Look, we'll make our predictions when we get closer to the
Yes,
Oscars.
we will make another video.
I'm just making a very, very early call. Top Gun Maverick, baby. Let's go.
But
Ride or die. I've been riding or dying this campaign. I've been riding or dying this campaign since Memorial Day 2022, and we're almost a full year later. And the bit of "Is it better than Top Gun Maverick" on Picture This might have to be retired because it might just win Best Picture, and that's just going to be the show. Is it better than Top Gun Maverick or not? And that would be the greatest thing ever if my bit willed a Best Picture winner into existence. I would be so happy.
I do still think it is Everything Everywhere All at Once. That is still my prediction as of this moment.
That is fair. It's not my prediction. It's my 4, but that's fair. All right. I think that's it for us.
But how crazy do you think RRR has any chance of getting in?
I don't think it does.
Unfortunately not. If it does get in, I will be very happy because I'll finally have an excuse to actually go out of my way to watch it. I still haven't seen it, but I want to so badly. I'll be very happy if it gets.
You should. It's getting an Oscar nomination tomorrow morning.
Well, yeah, for Best Original Song, and I'm quite excited for that. And I've been waiting on listening to the song until I watch it in the movie.
You have to watch it in the movie.
Yeah, I still haven't heard Natu, except for like the one clip that's been shown at every award show. So, yeah. All right, with that, I think we're done here. Coming up next on Picture This, it's the first episode of the View 52 Challenge with myself, Alex Martinez Coronado, and Melissa Woody joining us on the panel. We're going to be breaking down the movies we watched for January. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited. That is Friday at 7 EST. And then the next day, we've got the Rocky IV and Rocky versus Drago Director's Cut, Creed 3 double feature review, whatever we're calling it, Creed 3 Countdown. I'm excited for that. I'm very excited to watch those movies, hopefully back to back if we can. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. That's Saturday at 5 EST. And then later, we have our review for 1964's Best Picture winner, My Fair Lady. With that in mind, yeah, yuck indeed. I'm not looking forward to rewatch.
I need to watch Tom Jones just so I can be like, hey, now I'm caught up, so I can just come in here and be like, shit on My Fair Lady, because God, that movie sucks.
Tom Jones is worse than My Fair Lady.
Tom Jones is.
Why do I feel like I'm gonna watch Tom Jones and I'm gonna be 2 weeks in a row where you fuckers like worst movie? I'm gonna be like, this is fine. Like
it's
I feel like this.
Alex put it as his worst movie he's watched that won Best Picture.
Never mind.
Gave it half a star.
Never mind. Then that might be true. Alex is the most based human on this panel, so I'll trust him actually a little bit.
So yeah, there's that. That's it for us. We'll see you, or I will see you on Friday. Coho and I will see you on Saturday, and we'll all see you again on Sunday when we do My Fair Lady. So yeah. Until then, goodbye.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.